Joseph O'Brien won the Irish Derby in 2018 with La Trobe. It was quite early in his career as a trainer, actually. It was just 4 years after he'd won it as a jockey for the last time on Australia. He's got Epsom Derby third James J Braddock on track for the race this year. So we came along here to Corrigan Oak Stables to see how preparations are going. Joseph, I know we're here to talk about the Irish Derby, but it would be remiss not to reflect for a second on Royal Ascot. 5 winners for the week. How pleased were you with how the week went?
That was a fantastic week, Don. Obviously, all the horses ran great. Delighted for a wide variety of owners who support us really well. To perform at the Royal Meeting is one of the most important weeks of our year, and really it's testament to the team that we have here in Owning, in terms of the riders and the staff on the ground, right through to the admin and the organisation of what goes into bringing the horses to the parade ring on race day.
And just on a few of them, like Kislyar and Defiantly fought out the finish of the Ascot Stakes. They're both progressive, fairly likely race stayers as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're unexposed stayers, and to win any Ascot race, but particularly the handicaps, you have to be unexposed and you have to be progressive. So that was obviously a big target for both of them, and they both ran great.
Limestone as well in the Queen's Vase, like he was really game and really gritty the way he got home.
Yeah, we're really pleased with him. He was obviously our shortest price runner of the week, so we were hoping that he had a good winning chance heading over there. He's just got better and better from each run, and he was tenacious as he has been. It's not the first close finish that he's been in, and he keeps coming out on top, so hopefully he can continue with that trait through the summer. And
he saw it a mile and 6 well, but he's pacey enough for a mile and a half.
Yeah, I feel he has got speed for a horse that goes that distance, so I think a mile and a half and a mile and 6 is probably a good zone for him to be in at the moment.
Yeah, and King of Cloughan, did he surprise you a little bit? He was a big prize, and by then you didn't know that Fozzie Stack's horse was going to win the Cheshire Stakes the following day.
Yeah, well, I suppose we were a bit disappointed with his Leopardstown run. We thought he came there to win and he didn't, and then we thought he'd run a nice race on debut, and he did run a nice race, but we were hoping for a bit more. But I suppose hindsight is great. That obviously was a very strong maiden at Leopardstown, with two of the two-year-old Ascot 2-year-old races coming from it. So delighted with his win, and he's an exciting colt for the future.
And Green Carrera, do you think she stepped forward from winning at the Curragh on her previous run?
Yeah, she definitely did, but she did win in spite of kind of the race going against her on the day. Dylan jumped off her and said, "Listen, she's value for a lot more because things went wrong, and she still managed to win." So we thought she was a live chance in the Sandringham. I guess she was lucky to be drawn in the right spot, but it was still a hugely impressive run. And you'd have to say she'd have probably won from most draws, really, the way she did.
Yeah, and do you think she can step up now into stakes company?
Yeah, I think so. She got a bit of a hike in the weights, as you'd expect, so it will be into stakes company for her now, and she's more than earned her spot to do that.
And then Enchiladas as well, again another horse who battled on really well.
Really tough horse, and he did nothing wrong right through his career, really. He loved to step up in distance, and he's a horse that probably is on his way to stakes company as well.
Yeah, any plans in mind for him, because you did have him entered in the Irish Derby?
Yeah, he was in there, but it's probably pretty soon, but don't have a firm plan just yet, but he could turn up in Goodwood or somewhere like that.
Yeah. And just on the Irish Derby, now looking ahead to the weekend, Joseph, it's a race you won in 2018 with La Trobe. James J Braddock ran a big race at Epsom. How pleased have you been with him since then?
Very pleased, Don. He's come forward well, we think, from Epsom, and we think the test of the Curragh will suit him better. He won't mind getting back on what looks like it'll be a drier surface this week, and he's had a really good preparation.
On Epsom, the ground obviously turned very soft at Epsom, but he seemed to cope with those conditions okay.
Yeah, he looks like he's very versatile ground-wise. He won his maiden on heavy, so we were happy that he would handle soft ground. He did cope with it very well, but he won his Derby trial on very fast ground. So I think ground conditions is not something that's hugely important to him, and we think he'll like the Curragh at least as much as he handled Epsom.
And at Epsom, Dylan held him up at the back early on. Was that always the plan, to hold him up and deliver him late?
It was from the draw and the way the race was setting up. So we'll see how this race is mapping before we decide on our tactics this time. But that was the plan, and I thought it was executed well, and thought he ran great.
very wide, James J Braddock. Christmas Day is the one to catch. Maltese Cross second, Bay of Brilliance. James J Braddock down the outside. It's Christmas Day and Ronan Whelan. It's Aidan O'Brien again. Maltese Cross trying to bridge the gap. It's a stamina sapping finish. Christmas Day by 3 or 4 lengths. It's Christmas Day on Derby Day. He wins the Betfred Derby. Maltese Cross second, James J Braddock.
Was it always the plan to hold him up like you did and then deliver him late?
Yeah, well, we were going to be happy to take our time. Usually they go a good and even gallop, but it's more about riding the horse than anything and just get him into his own comfortable rhythm, get him balanced and have him finishing. I was happy with where I was. We went even all the way and I thought in a nice spot. He finished off the race great, and no, it was hard to peg them back on the day, the way it worked out, but you could probably upgrade his run a little bit as well because he got a bit Nancy beforehand and was a bit fresh, but no, it was a great run, and delighted with his performance on the day.
And when you took him to the outside watching the race live, there was a point at which, watching it objectively, you thought you might just get there. Did you feel you might just get there?
I thought when I got down past the 2 pole that when I give him a few smacks he might pick up and go and pick them up, but the bird had flown for a run and he got a great ride from the front, and he was away and gone, but my fella kept coming well and he hit the line good, so that was a very good run, and he made up plenty of ground.
Yeah, and like, is that a mixture of getting so close to winning the Derby but then the horse running so well in defeat? Is that a kind of mixed emotions?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a very, very tough race to win. You know, riding in those races is great, and to be very competitive in them is extra special. Hopefully we might win it someday, but to be placed in it is great, and for all connections as well, they got a great buzz out of it.
You've got 5 lengths to make up at Christmas Day, a little bit to make up on the runner-up as well, and Benvenuto Cellini was in behind you as well. How do you think that's going to plan? Or how do you think you can make up the 5 lengths?
Oh, sure, listen, it's a different test, you know. The Curragh is a very different test, and it's going to be even exaggerated this year by likely different ground conditions. So I think you just prepare as well as you can, and we've been focusing on our own horse, and we think he's come on from Epsom, and then, you know, we'll face up whatever opposition turns up on the day. And
you say that you think the Curragh will suit him. What is it about the Curragh that you think will suit him well?
Yeah, I just think it's a big galloping track, and he's a big robust horse. So probably, you know, although he handled Epsom fine, you'd imagine that he's a horse that physically is more made for a test like the Curragh.
Before he won the Cashel Palace at Leopardstown, were you thinking that he could progress to be a Derby type horse?
Well, sure, that was the hope. But he was a little bit, he wasn't, I wouldn't say disappointing, but we had hoped to see a little bit more on his first run of the year in Leopardstown. But he improved a lot from that day to his second trial, and obviously he won his second trial. Then he earned a shot in Epsom, ran great in Epsom, a career best, and we think he's trained great since then.
And do you see him as a kind of a 10 to 12 furlong horse, or a 12 furlong horse who could go out and try?
I don't think we have any plans to go further than 12 as of now anyway. So, but I think we'll just take it race by race.
And thundering on, speaking of Epsom, her win in the Oaks, I'm sure that was a fairly easy watch for you from a long way out, was it?
Yeah, it really was. She went through the race really good. We had planned to hold her up, and she found the line really strong, and she won hugely impressively. And she's an exciting filly for the future.
Yeah, that was very special. A great feel from halfways on, turning down into the hill, and I was in cruise control looking at everyone else coming off the bridle, and it doesn't usually happen in a classic like that, but she's extra special. She's got a lot of class, and she won really well, didn't she?
I know she did, and was that massive for you to win an Oaks, to win a classic?
Yeah, well, they're the races that you want to be competing in, and to go into a race like that with a big chance is very special, and then for them to go and win like that it was unbelievable. So it's definitely a day I'll never forget.
Yeah, and because she showed so much pace and speed in the Salsable Stakes, was the mile and a half a worry going to Epsom or not really?
Well, it was a question mark. I wouldn't say it was a worry, but it was a bit of an unknown. She had to step up to the trip, but she did it well. She gives herself every chance to get the trip. She relaxes good, and she's got a lot of class, and she's got a lot of pace. Travels strongly from the second half on in the races, and she hit the line well, and it wasn't a problem.
Her dam won the Pretty Polly, and she's a possible. I think we'll, you know, make the final decision pretty late, but very happy with how she's been since Epsom, and we've yet to discuss it with her ownership and Anthony Stroud, who manages Sharper and Palon, and but she's a super exciting filly, you know, really impressive Oaks winner, and we're excited about her this summer and autumn.
And she's a good story, isn't she? Because she's the only surviving foal out of her dam.
Yeah, sadly, I suppose Thundering Nights was a great filly, and she was, you know, placed in a whole bunch of top races and won the Pretty Polly, and she had this filly, her first foal by Frankel, and sadly she passed away along with a Frankel colt before having her second foal. So you know, it's very special for the guys just to have a Frankel out of her, and for that filly to turn out to be what Thundering Han is it's a real dream, really.
And just looking ahead briefly to the rest of the weekend of the Curragh Joseph, you've got Green Empress and Bevin in the early stud stakes. Yeah,
two nice fillies. Bevin off a tough win in Listowel last time. She's a nice filly. Hopefully can maybe get some black type this weekend. Green Empress had a real good debut over the course and distance, and she's a filly that we think will be competitive in these races for the season.
And of course that was her racecourse debut, but you've got no issue obviously stepping her up and trip into...
Yeah, I think she ran so good on debut that she earned herself a spot at getting some black type at the stage, yeah.
And you've got Trust Your Instinct in the International Stakes, which a race that he won last year.
Yeah, he loves the Curragh, and he's off the back of a win, having dropped in class, so that's an option for him. And we have a few other entries in that race potentially as well.
Just on the Irish Derby, Joseph, when you won it with Latrobe 2018, I think it was, that was only 4 years after you'd won it as a jockey on Australia. It was fairly early in your training career. How special would it be for you to go back and win it again?
Yeah, it would be very special. I suppose when Latrobe won and Donnacha, you know, rode him, it's probably my favourite day in racing really so far. It was a really special day, and you know, the Irish Derby is a race that, in terms of, you know, racing here, it's the pinnacle, and to be going there with a live chance is special, and hopefully he turns up and he can run his race on the day.
Well, best of luck at the weekend, Joseph, and thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks very much, Dan.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.